Who would have thought that this would turn into this? Proclaiming Praise began in this living room with just 10 people. In this tiny living room, Tyler and Sabrina managed to plant a vision. Not to build another church service, but to create something truly different. Even in those first nights when only 10 people were showing up, God placed bold visions on Tyler's heart. Tyler had a vision where he saw the entire backyard filled with people, packed shoulder to shoulder. That one day this movement would grow so large that Tyler would need to add seats around the perimeter of the pool just to make sure everyone has somewhere to sit. Even imagine baptisms taking place in the pool. These were dreams that seemed nearly impossible considering there was only 10 people gathering in our living room. Tyler and Sabrina have always believed that God had something much bigger in store for this movement. Week by week, month by month, this movement has grown. 10 people became 20 people, 20 became 30, then 40. All of a sudden, this living room was fully maxed out. It really became undeniable. God was moving. This very living room could no longer contain what he was doing. So Tyler and Sabrina decided to move this to the backyard, hoping this would allow for more people to join while still keeping that intimate family feel. Eventually, the backyard packed over 200 young adults. Not only did the entire backyard fill, we had so many people show up that sure enough, we actually had to place chairs around the perimeter of the pool to make sure that everyone could have a seat. That vision that Tyler held on to wasn't just fulfilled, they were actually being surpassed. Not only did the entire perimeter of the pool fill, it got so crowded in the backyard that people actually climbed up onto the fence that divides our yard from our neighbor's yard just so they could have somewhere to sit and be part of this movement. On top of that, Tyler has performed multiple baptisms in the pool in the backyard. Yet another vision fulfilled that God placed on Tyler's heart in the early days of this movement. And by the next events, RSVPs had jumped up to over 400 people. From 10 voices gathered in this living room to hundreds gathering for worship. The visions that God placed on Tyler's heart were fulfilled, exceeded, and stretched beyond what any of us could have ever imagined. The journey has followed a vision that God placed on Tyler's heart. But the true heart of Proclaiming Praise has never been about the numbers. It's always been about people. Because Proclaiming Praise isn't just a movement that hosts these large young adult worship nights. It's a movement that mobilizes worship wherever God leads them. Into homes, into backyards, into beaches, city streets, places where most ministries just never reach. This ministry is about reaching those who feel forgotten, bringing worship to those who physically cannot come to a gathering themselves, sitting alongside those who desperately need help. And that's what these next 3 stories will reveal. This is the story of Chantal. Chantal is a young woman full of life, caught in a situation that would change everything. Chantal was in a car accident that left her with a traumatic brain injury. She became quadriplegic, unable to move her arms or legs. As she laid in the hospital trying to recover, one crisis followed the next. She then developed pneumonia. Her condition worsened to the point where doctors were forced to put her on a ventilator. Her family watched absolutely terrified, and the doctors warned them. Her bones were becoming extremely brittle and weak, and there was a chance that she could stop breathing at any given point. If she were to stop breathing, the doctors weren't comfortable attempting to perform CPR. The risk of breaking her chest was too high. Yet no one knew if the ventilator would even be enough to keep her alive. This was Chantal's darkest moment. This exact moment is when Tyler, Sabrina, and Sergio walked in the room. They came to her hospital room with worship, with prayer, and most importantly, with the Word of God. After hours of worship and prayer,
my God, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who.
The Proclaiming Praise team packed up and left Chantal to rest. And a few hours later, something miraculous happened. Chantal was doing so well, she was able to be taken off the ventilator. She was back to breathing on her own. And in the next few days, her family started noticing signs of life that they hadn't seen in months. She was able to start moving her head around again, her body was shifting. These were small movements, but they were movements of hope, of life returning to Chantal. This was Proclaiming Praise's first ever hospital visit. And in that fragile space between death and life, God gave a bit of life back to Chantal. Tori is 30 years old. She was recently diagnosed with a brain tumor. Unfortunately, this diagnosis is terminal and the doctors don't think that she will live through the year. Tori has lost both her parents and her siblings and really has no family or friends. After receiving her diagnosis, Tori had made a decision. She didn't want to spend the remainder of her life in fear and pain. She chose to take her life. And she was actually driving to carry out that decision when a cement truck ran a red light and crashed directly into her car, stopping her dead in her tracks. She sustained multiple spinal cord injuries and broke both of her legs. She was rushed into the emergency room, and when she woke up, she was paralyzed in one leg, still facing the terminal tumor. This is when Proclaiming Praise arrived.
Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy? Is he worthy?
Tyler, Sabrina, and the leadership team became Tori's family. They created a visit train, ensuring that she had daily visitors, sometimes even multiple visitors per day. The whole team just dedicated themselves to her care. Tori's biggest wish was simple. She wanted to spend her last month of life at home, not in the hospital. That came with some challenges as her home has 15 stairs and she has no family and no support. On her own, the doctors and medical staff were extremely concerned that she wouldn't be able to sustain her life living there. But Proclaiming Praise's consistent presence changed everything. Hospital staff couldn't help but notice the daily visitor sign-in sheets. She had people from the Proclaiming Praise team visiting her daily, and this proved to the hospital staff that she actually had a support system and she could move home. The Proclaiming Praise team was able to get her home, surrounded by so many people who love her. Throughout her hospital journey, Tori clung on to this stuffed giraffe. It wasn't just a toy, it was her constant companion, her stress ball, and her anchor in a world where she felt completely alone. The giraffe is a creature designed to survive in danger. Its long neck keeps it perched high, always alert and scanning for threats. Tori identifies with the giraffe because she feels she's lived her life in much of the same way, always watching out for herself, always protecting herself, because she's never had anyone to look out for her. She'd been alone her whole life, relying on no one but herself to survive. The giraffe became her symbol of endurance, resilience, and vigilance. After everything Tori's endured, Tyler, Sabrina, and the team wanted to do something special for her. So tomorrow, Sabrina, Tyler, and the team will be taking her to the Living Desert Zoo out in Palm Springs. They'll get to meet a real giraffe and actually hand feed the giraffe, experience something that she's loved and identified with for years. And even beyond this special day, Proclaiming Praise has given Tori something so special. A family of people who show up consistently and faithfully. A family who cares for her in her final chapter. A community that brings light into her darkest moments. Tori's story is heartbreaking. It's also holy because in her darkest times, God sent the Proclaiming Praise team to become her family. And through Proclaiming Praise and the grace of God, she's felt love and hope that can only come out when faith is lived out in action. This is the story of Michael. Tyler and Sabrina were put in touch with a man named Sam. Sam is an occupational therapist who works locally in Orange County. When Sam met Tyler and Sabrina and heard about what Proclaiming Praise was doing, he told Tyler and Sabrina he has the perfect person for them to meet. A devastating brain hemorrhage left Michael unable to walk, talk, write, or even speak. Through months of occupational therapy with Sam, Michael is on the road to recovery. He's regained some speech. Sam says that you can really only understand about 10% of what Michael is trying to say. Yet, with the 10% that you can understand from Michael, it is absolutely clear he has deep faith in Jesus. Unfortunately, due to Michael's situation, he hasn't been able to attend church in over 9 years. And for nearly a decade, no one has come to meet Michael where he is. No church, no organization, no other nonprofit. This is when Proclaiming Praise arrived. Tyler, Sabrina, and Sergio brought worship and the Word of God to Michael. Tears streamed down Michael's face for an hour straight. Michael was so clearly moved by the worship, it was unbelievable. As Tyler, Sabrina, and Sergio were about to leave, Michael stopped Tyler and asked him a question. He said, "Why would God bring you to me? No one's ever come for me." It was in this moment that the mission of Proclaiming Praise was so clear. Proclaiming Praise brings hope and presence to those who feel completely forgotten about. Michael had been unseen for almost a decade. For Michael, this wasn't just a visit. It's proof that God's love reaches anyone, anywhere, through people willing to step in and show up. And that is exactly what Proclaiming Praise does best. Chantal, Tori, and Michael are just a few of the lives that have been touched by what Proclaiming Praise is doing. Proclaiming Praise goes where other people won't. They reach hearts and show God's love in the places that need it the most. The journey does not stop here. The next story, next life changed, it could be right around the corner. This is more than worship. This is more than church. This is a movement, and it's just getting started. This is Proclaiming Praise.